Welcome to that sports couple. Today we are talking to our former co-worker, Riverside Academy head football coach Lee Roussel. It's game day. Coach Roussel, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear from y'all. It's good to see y'all. Game day, so setting up the field, getting the pylons out, getting all the chains ready, and you remember those, Coach.
Yeah.
You were right there with me setting up the field. So making sure everything's on, everything's working, the bathrooms are clean, kind of game day thing. But that's right. The other things besides calling the plays, So,
A
but
million things to do.
yep. But getting ready for the night. Yep.
Are you excited? Butterflies?
I am. I think that feeling never goes away every week one of every new year. And really, that goes for every game. You got those exciting butterflies and waiting to see your team play. And we got a really good test this week, as we were talking about with Terrebonne. And, I think, and I told the team, there's one of the better rosters on our schedule, talent wise. And they do a good job. They're well coached. And we're going to know a lot about our team after tonight.
Right. A lot of people say this is one of their better years. And look, there have been some lean years at Terrebonne. I've lived through them, so my alma mater. But this is going to be a good test for you guys.
Yeah, I would argue that it is one of their better years. From an offensive line standpoint, two really big tackles, and they make the interior guys look small. And I promise you, they're not small. The centers and guards. It's just that the tackles, and they're really good players, and I think they're well coached up front. And they got a couple backs and a senior quarterback, and they're very senior led team. That team we played last year was a lot of juniors. So I would say that yes, from a team that won that district, I think split with Hornville, if I'm not mistaken, last year in that district, and have everything back. Certainly a talented team, and certainly a big test for us tonight.
And when last year's game it was a war. Like it went back and forth, and it was in the rain because I followed it on Twitter, and like it came down to the very end, if I recall. Is that correct?
It did. It did. It was high scoring. It did go back and forth. We took the lead with a minute 30 left in the game, and then they scored to
Right.
win under a minute. So it did. It was a really good game. It was over there. It was in the rain. So yeah, and look, we have a talented team too, and
Oh yeah, we gotta
but
talk about yours.
yeah, when we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, they are as but you want that, when Coach Morty and I, when I first got here, we were talking about the schedule. We knew that this was something we wanted to build towards, where you do have a pre-district schedule that does challenge you for later on in November and December. Because you play some teams and they may think that we're real good, but you weren't tested and you don't learn a lot about your roster.
And your schedule is really good this year. You have a really tough schedule with Newman next week as well. So you don't miss many.
No, yeah, you're right. The first few, in Terrebonne and Newman, who's playing in the semifinals, it feels like every year and making a run and going 9-1, 8-2, and 10-0. And then I think that Prairieville team is going to be a lot better in year two.
Oh, yeah.
5A team who had really good numbers last year, but they were just playing with a bunch of babies as far as freshmen and sophomores. Those guys are now, sophomores, juniors, and a few seniors in that senior class. And there was some talent on that roster. So there's your first 3 weeks right there. So yeah, definitely have our hands full early in the year.
So let's talk a little bit about your team. I mean, you have Brock back as your third year, and I know you split time, but go ahead and tell us about your offense.
Yeah, offensively, I think it does start with Brock because he touches the ball every play. He's a 3-year starter for us. He was the starting quarterback 2 years ago as a sophomore in the Superdome. The year we lost to Southern Lab, and man, we had a bunch of babies out there ourselves. And but he's done a really good job, and I'm really happy with his progression and understanding the offense and taking care of the football. Just last week in the Jamboree, Brock was 10 of 11 passing. So really, really efficient. Yeah, really efficient and taking care of the ball. And we do have some good wideouts, some guys that can make plays. Moving on to wide receiver position, we're starting 3 sophomores out there. And it feels like we've been having them forever because 2 of those guys played as 8th graders and Kenrick Johnson and Chris Becknell played on that same team when Brock was a sophomore, and then and then the other sophomore is Caden Francois, who wasn't able to play last year, so he's a first year starter, but he's a big 6'2" receiver who can make plays for us too. So I really like the talent that we have at that position. Um, Not inexperienced, but still young as far as age. And then you move, to the running back position. We have uh, a kid in Jaden Obikwe who'll be back with us week 4, who's new to our school, and then an 8th grader and Caleb Williams, who's been running the ball for us in the scrimmage and jamboree, who's going to be really, really special. And he's showing that already in the 8th grade. It feels like every year we have one or two that there's an 8th grader that kind of, man, this kid's gonna be really good, and they're able to play for us at a young age. Uh, Tight end position, a couple guys that'll be playing tonight are Will Roush. He'll be starting at the tight end
He
position.
grew tall. I've seen his
He is.
brain grew.
He is. And he's been playing well for us. Will does, and also a baseball player for us. And then Jake Bell will be the two guys playing tight end. And O line, it's kind of led by Gabe Galvez at the left tackle position. He's going to be a really special old lineman for us, only a sophomore. And the right tackle was a freshman, and Nathaniel Nicholson, and also a good player. And in the middle guys, we start a couple of seniors in Jordan Kramer and right guard Aiden Stutzman, and the left guard is also a freshman in Cole Keller. So young there. It's a team with only 7 seniors. A majority of our roster, and we have better numbers than we've had, Coach. And but majority of those numbers are the junior, sophomore, freshman classes as it starts to grow as far as the depth.
Because of being a small school, you always seem like you add in those 8th grade, 9th grade guys, and you always feel like you're young. You don't have that like the 5A schools where 25 seniors are on your roster.
Yeah,
They always
I
feel
agree.
like
You do. I think every year you're gonna start. Yeah. Whereas you do get to, those type of schools, and you wait your turn till you got to be really, really special to get on the field, even as a 10th grader, when you have so much depth. But when your roster is 55 ish, you're gonna find a couple of those young guys that can play. I think that's one of the pluses or positives of going to one of those schools. You do get on the field a little bit earlier, if you're good enough. And but those guys can play. It's not that we worry that, oh man, this 8th grader can he? I mean, a lot of times the ones we're playing with, they can handle it. And I think we got a couple this year. We got one on the offensive side and 2 on the defensive side that you'll see out there. So 3 8th graders that'll be playing for us against a really good opponent in Terrebonne.
Talk a little bit about what it's been like seeing Brock grow in his role, because 3-year starter, and the first year wasn't all that, but he's really grown into his role and gained some confidence. Talk about that, watching that progression.
Well, you guys know Brock. He's such a good kid, right? And
Oh,
so
I
so there's yep, there's such a trust there that you just trust him with the offense, and that we all gonna make mistakes. He's gonna make, but it's important to him, and he cares. And I think that's what probably Brock's best at. And that's not to take away from his ability, because he's done a really good job throwing the football. And as he's gotten bigger and stronger as the years pass. And then I said this the other day in an interview. There's nothing like the experience to make somebody better, right? He's seen all the different coverages, blitzes, and fronts, and so he's seen as a sophomore. That's hard, and he didn't grow up really a football player. He was more of a baseball guy. So tackle football was new to him, and we lose a senior that year going into his sophomore year, and here he is, the starter. So we were very simple, I feel like, that year, and in the pass game and trying to take care of a young quarterback. Whereas now we do put a little more on his plate, and I think that's where he's grown the most.
Brock always thought, we haven't mentioned his last name, but Brock Bourgeois, we've always thought of his as a baseball guy, and then watching his progression. Now he's being recruited as a 2-sport guy. We talk about 2-sport guys at the high school level, but now he's being recruited as a quarterback as well as a shortstop, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I know, schools like Millsaps and a couple others have shown some interest in Brock, and Yeah, I think that's awesome for him. That's the other luxury of a place like this, where you and I, like, you encourage guys to play football, and vice versa. We like the multi-sport athletes. I was a former assistant baseball coach before my time at Nichols at the high school level. So I enjoy being out there and watching baseball, and that goes for all sports, basketball, track, you name it. I just think getting out there and being a competitor and competing makes you better at the other sport, and I think it builds the toughness. And I've seen Brock grow in both sports. I think because both complement each other. And I think, across the athletic department, we share that same message.
You do. You do.
All right. Yeah. So talking about Chris Lashley, defensive side of the ball, what he does for us as far as a not just on the defensive side, but strength and conditioning. He's in weight room year round. He runs our strength and conditioning program in the summer, and not just with the football players, with all athletes, male and female. He does a really good job in there, and I think it starts with that. But a really good teacher, good man. The kids respect him. Been around a lot of football, just in the recent history, spent time at Brother Morton in the Catholic League as a defensive coordinator, was a head coach before, spent some time at Southeastern as a defensive coordinator there. So, a lot of our past has been competing against each other in different places, and the opportunity to be able to bring him here with us. I'm really enjoying working with him and the whole staff. I think we're blessed to have a really good staff. I know, it's hard to right now find people to get in this profession, but I think we're blessed to have some really good young guys who I think will be really good coaches.
And former
Well,
Rebels who came back, correct?
we do some rebels and some colonels, some guys that I've had the privilege of coaching at Nichols and got into this profession. So yeah, different just connections throughout the years of doing this. And so I think they're going to be really good at this too. Uh, but yeah, on the defensive side, getting into the players, I think we got some good players on that side of the ball too. Defensive line coming into the year is what we thought was our most experience, led by Ahmad Cage, who was an all-state performer last year. Other guys like Cameron Green and Justin Hall and Jacoby King. Okay, they'll be starting those positions. But we got some young guys too filling in there, and Ryan Felton, who's coming along as a sophomore. Some guys have been rotating in. So there's a little depth at that position. At the linebacker position, uh, Ethan Bourgeois and Jace Trusclair and Brody Vickner. We just found out we lost Brody, who was going to be a junior and a leader and somebody who's played since his eighth grade year. We're going to miss him. But I do still believe we got some good players at that position. But obviously that hurts with the depth and his leadership there. And in the back end is where we're young and experienced, and going to have to play some guys both ways. And Kennery Johnson playing receiver and corner. There's two eighth graders there. We talked about the three eighth graders. There's two there. It's going to play some defensive back, and um, Braden Robertson and Jania Rochelle, and then Cole Jacobs, a freshman. He's starting at the safety position. And then Cameron Matt is a kid that we moved around from safety to corner to even playing some will linebacker, depending on where we need. I'm really happy with Cameron's growth. And he's in a good place right now as a player and really understanding the game. I think the game's starting to slow down for him now in his third year playing for us. So to be able to play multiple positions really, one, puts him on the field in different places, but it makes our defense better.
Yeah. It's so you hear all these names. I taught all those kids as sixth graders when they were babies, and I was taller than them, and that's saying a lot. And now, now they're starting on the defense, and it just kind of blows your mind a little bit.
Yeah. And there's some others like Cruz Calm, who,
Yeah.
he would be out there, but had an injury that he took care of back in spring. And we hope to have him back middle of the year. And there's some other guys that we hoping, you look at, man, the injuries, there's never a good time for them. But I guess we get some of those guys back in a district play and heading into the playoffs, you would make that trade off.
As you prepare down the road, district isn't as important as it used to be, but because of all the, it's done by PowerPoints. But it's still fun though, and it's still important. And your district is getting better. West St. John's making great strides.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
about the district a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, you still make that a goal. You're right. Like back, back when I played in high school, district was how you got into the playoffs until PowerPoints came along. But it's still, yes, it's still a goal you set every year to win district. It is a step along the way before the playoffs. And a lot of your district games are teams from your area, like you mentioned, West St. John, who's much improved and a really good opponent. And that rivalry right there dates back to the 90s and early 2000s, where Riverside and West St. John played in the state championship game in the Superdome. So that's going to be fun. And then the St. Martin's game has been a good one with Harlemberry, and we've had some good backs of our own, and that matchup has been fun as well. So, yeah, you still look forward to district play. It is not the end goal. You still want to play in November and December and win that last one.
Coach, you 2 years ago you were in the Superdome and playing that game, and I know it was a great atmosphere, and the Riverside people came out. But tell us how are you prepared? How are you looking forward to that? Do you think that's a reachable this year? And I know everything's kind of up in the air because it takes a lot of luck, but just give us a quick recap of what you think what has to happen for this to be successful.
Yeah, I feel the same way as I felt last year, and like you mentioned, in year two we make the run to the dome. Um, I'd be lying if I said, yeah, year two that's when it was going to happen. I think things just kind of we did stay healthy. We did have a really good senior class of kids that bought into what we were doing, more so than even talent, just some good people there. But even last year, a quarterfinal appearance. I felt that there was about 8 to 10 teams that I thought can win it, and I thought we were one of those teams.
Yeah.
We end up losing a Ascension Catholic in the playoffs, and we lose to Vermilion Catholic in the regular season. And I know Washita Christian ends up beating Ascension Catholic in the semis, but Ascension Catholic played without their back that game. And I thought the two losses we did have were probably two of the best teams in our division, and Vermilion Catholic obviously goes on and wins it. But yeah, I thought we were in that number. I thought, and I feel that way moving forward. I think the roster is set up with more depth as you look at the next few years. But I would put us in a group of at those 8 to 10 teams. I actually think Division Four is pretty deep. I don't know if there is that one team that they winning it and then it's everybody else. But there's teams like Washita Christian and Vermilion Catholic who are in the semis and state championship. It feels like year in and year out. But I think we are one of those teams that, as we've shown the last few years, quarterfinal, state championship, quarterfinal. So I do think we're in that top 8 to have a chance to make that run back to the state championship game.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's gonna be great. The playoff system has worked well for that bracket. It's a lot of fun. But hey, we're getting ready to first night at. We're gonna be there tonight. We're coming out. It's a unique place. Talk about Riverside on a Friday night.
Yeah, you guys know as well as anybody. You're gonna bring your lawn chair and sit in the end zone. Is that what you're gonna? Yeah. So that's what's unique about it. There's a game of my little boy and all the 7-year-olds back there that after the game they sweating more than the players. I'm like, dang man, what
Sometimes
do
it's
you
fun to
do back there?
watch.
I mean, he is lathered up after the game. So there's that game happening in the end zone near the baseball field, and man, just there's the 12th man back there where they cooking, and there's a little seating there. It is a unique, I guess, atmosphere.
And people come back like you don't need a homecoming. Every week at Riverside Academy is homecoming. They come back to watch.
Yeah, and everybody's riding a golf cart to the game, and it's the night out. You know what I mean? It's what you do in reserve. So that is cool. That is unique. River Parish football one. People follow their football, and it is what you do on Friday nights in the fall. But yeah, if you haven't been, I encourage people to come to a game. It is a fun atmosphere.
I've been there on a Halloween night too. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think they already got plans for trick or treat around the
Yeah.
track, and now we are redoing the track. We asphalting it in September, so we got to keep the golf carts off the track.
Oh.
Well,
That's gonna be hard to do.
Yeah.
one of my favorites, and you it photographs so well, is the tradition of them calling you out of the locker room
Oh,
before the game, where they're beating on the door and they make.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's like that. You don't see that anywhere. You know,
No, yeah, they create a tunnel of people that leads to the goalpost,
fans.
and yeah, they banging on it. It feels like you got to replace the door every couple of years because they banging on it. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Like when we sit in the weight room, as you know, before the game. And that's where I give the pregame speech, and it's quiet in there because I'm about to talk, and here they come. The Jars and the Wayne Emails, those old guys that the dads, and they are beating the door down, and I get the goosebumps every time they do it, right? Like a kid again, and I know our kids look forward to that. They do, and a lot of the seniors, when we talk about memories and things like that during fall camp, when I give them a little time where they get to talk to the team, they bring it up. How like that's some of the best. They can't wait for Friday night sitting in that weight room and they banging on that door with the train horn or whoever honking loud. It's fun.
I'm looking forward
It
to
is
it.
unique.
It's
I
it's an awesome experience. It really is.
I know he wasn't one of your guys, but talk about the Riverside Academy has a guy in the NFL right now, Gage Larvinanen. What does that do for the young kid, the sixth graders, the seventh graders, the eighth graders? If he can get there, maybe I can talk about that a little bit. He's got to be
Oh,
an inspiration.
absolutely. He actually popped in Saturday morning
Oh, cool.
during film. Yeah, he just popped in the meeting room, and that was really cool. Uh, what a great person Gage is, right?
Yes,
You,
he
you
is.
guys were there with Gage, and I got to, in my time, he ran he wanted to run a youth camp here on campus, and I got to watch him deal with young people and his organization and leadership. It showed me everything I needed to know about him. And I knew Gage. My time at Nichols, we recruited Gage,
Okay.
so I had somewhat of a relationship with him, or at least knew him beforehand. But you're right; it opens so many doors, and to make a 53-man roster. And I did a little research. I think the first ever in the history of Riverside football.
Yes.
I
Right.
think some guys maybe made it into a training camp, but to make a 53-man roster. So that's very, very special. So it does open up the doors, and that goes for anybody. You go somewhere and you're a good person and you have success. They want to come back for more Riverside players. I want more guys like him. So
Right.
it does mean a lot. In the same week, so Gage shows up Saturday morning. Wednesday night, we had the the quarterback club meeting, and Jared Butler pops in, who's
Oh
in the
yeah.
NBA right now. So right now, to have right here in the reserve, you got a guy in the NBA and a guy on the NFL roster is really cool, and I think that shows that if you're good enough, they'll find you, and if you do the right things. I mean, think about the things Gage had to overcome. He's not big in stature. Uh, Went to a small school, high school, FCS, worked his way up, got in the portal, finishes at South Carolina, and look where he is now.
Amazing. It's success stories. I love them. Those are the kinds of things that give us old sports writers goosebumps.
And once again, you're at a small school. He comes in as a basketball guy.
Yeah,
He
Gage.
wasn't a football guy. He comes in as a basketball guy. Now he's in the NFL. I mean that's what two sport guys do.
Yeah.
I wish I could take credit for anything he's done, but I actually give you a story that's opposite. I'm at Nichols when he was a senior, when and like I said, I recruited Gage a little bit, but we never fully offered him, right? And it was during COVID, and I remember that year we were only signing 10 guys, I think, because your whole roster came back the next year. Remember, you got that year eligibility left. So we ended up not offering Gage. So every time I got to see him, I make sure, and he rubs that in too, like, I'm like, you're right, man. I can't act like I knew. Yeah. So, no, and he was a quarterback in high school, right?
Yes.
So a lot of his film was that running the football at the quarterback position. And, he made the transition to wide receiver once he got to college.
He was fun to watch too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing y'all tonight. And I know you're going to have a great season. You all do a fabulous job back there. And I'm very proud of everything that you all have accomplished.
And we're rooting for you, even maybe not tonight, but we're rooting for you.
I'm rooting for you tonight too, Coach.
Hey, thank y'all for having me. And Coach, serious, you know, so much respect for you. I appreciate that you're still involved in high school athletics. It's always good hearing from you. I appreciate you staying in touch.
Take care, Coach. I appreciate it. Love you, man.
Good luck.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Love you. All right, man.